Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, everyone. For another episode today, we have our guest speaker, Sheikh Sadique. Inshallah, today we'll be covering a very in-depth and very important Islamic topic. And after that, we will be trying to get your questions and answering those to help you get the answers you need, I guess. If you had a good question and you think it was answered already, you could check out our YouTube at Al Rashid Mosque and our Facebook at Al Rashid Edmonton to find those questions. If you have questions you want to submit for us to answer, please just type them in the comments either on YouTube, Facebook, or maybe even send an email in to Al Rashid Mosque and we will try and get to them for you, inshallah. But without further ado, my guest speaker.
Barakallah feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you once again for joining us in this beautiful discussion and conversation. And the topic is beautiful. Would you like to meet the angels? And inshallah ta'ala, we're going to actually explore this very question. And inshallah, I'm sure you will be pleased bi'idhnillah as to where we reach and try to understand and answer that question. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم أنفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما وأرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه وجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه وادخلنا برحمتك عبادك الصالحين. أما بعد, if I were to tell you that in the next 10 days, as we are entering the last 10 blessed nights of this month, that you can actually be in the position of shaking the hands of the angels, what would you say to me? And you can be honest. You can say, Sadiq, Sheikh, you're come on, you're playing with my emotions. We hear that expression, and I was touched by an angel. And sometimes we have that expression when we meet somebody who's nice and kind, and we say it was as though he was an angel or she was an angel, or it was as though, I was touched by an angel. Well, during these last 10 nights, there is something so magnificent and so beautiful that many of us aren't even aware that we actually are in the presence not only of 1, 2, 100 or 1,000. We are talking that there is not a single place on this earth which does not have an angel that descends upon it on a very special night. Now, many of us know Laylatul Qadr, and we've been told and we've heard the stories and beautiful accounts about the specialness of this night. But I think we need to take another look once more at the beautiful wisdoms and I would say the missed sort of understandings that we've actually, or the gems of the secrets that we've overlooked. So inshallah ta'ala, I will be inviting each and every one of you to go back to a surah of the Quran that we recite, that surah Al-Qadr all the time. And we recite it in our salah, we read it and we are often repeating it, but we don't understand perhaps sometimes the greatness of what is being recited. فالموضوع اليوم إن شاء الله هو أنا طرحت سؤال: هل تحب أن تلتقي مع الملائكة؟ فممكن الشخص ممكن يفكر عن هذا سؤال مستحيل. فكيف نلتقي مع الملاك وملائكة؟ وهل عندي هذه القدرة؟ فإن شاء الله اليوم سأفسر إن شاء الله بعد الآيات إلى قدر إمكاني عن سورة القدر. فهناك في حكم وأسرار للأسف الشديد لكثير من الناس ما يهتمون ويركزون بعض الأحيان فقط على العبادات ممكن ولا بأس بهذا الشيء، لكن هناك أسرار وإن شاء الله سوف نتعمق أكثر وأكثر حتى نوصل إلى الجواب إلى هذا السؤال. But inshallah ta'ala, without any further delay, I would like to go back to this. Now when we go to the surah that we hear so often, it begins after we say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر. Subhanallah. When we start with the surah, we have to take a little bit of a closer look. How come Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first and foremost, why does He begin with inna? Inna is the we form, which means we're talking jama'. We're talking about a plural presence. However, in this, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses you and I in the Holy Quran, we need to sort of look at, and we must ask ourselves, especially for those who don't know Arabic, who don't understand the language of the Quran in specific, why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He addresses Himself in the inna, in the we form, in the plural form? And it is not because He's plural, hasha lillah, because we already know that it's impossible. For there is only one Allah, nothing that is imitable or nothing comparable to it. There's nothing in comparableness to Him, absolutely. So we know this is not what the reason is, but rather the reason is the azma, the greatness, the sublimeness, the magnanimity of who is speaking. Okay, so we want to start off first by understanding Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the position of azma, of greatness, of magnanimity, His magnificence, speaks and addresses that we have descended on this night the Holy Quran. Now, first and foremost, Laylatul Qadr. This is the night of Qadr. So we want to first answer ourselves, or answer some things that why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not simply tell us what Laylatul Qadr is? One of the beautiful things about the balagha and the eloquence in the Holy Quran is that it has tashawwuq. I want to know more. It's sort of like you have to listen to what comes next. So immediately we come to this beautiful place where we understand Allah in His greatness and His wonderment is speaking to you and I. And then He reveals that the Quran was revealed. Now the question that you and I should ask as well, does that mean the entire Quran was revealed on that night? Was it revealed part of the night? Or where did the Quran and the revelation come from? Now, without getting into so much of the background, but one of the greatest mufassirin, al-mufassir al-kabir, and I would say he's one of the greatest mufassir, al-mufassirin, al-kibar al-mufassirin, and that is none other than Sheikh Fakhruddin al-Razi, rahmatullah alayh. He describes that one of the opinions, and it's an opinion that's held by the majority of scholars, is that the Quran was revealed in its completion from the preserved tablet, al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, to the Sama ad-Dunya. So it was descended there, and then it was revealed over time, at different times and places, over 23 years during the life of the Prophet ﷺ to the people of the earth. So this is one thing. So what is Laylatul Qadr? So we get into the next thing. Now before we get into this semantics of what is Qadr. Now Qadr can mean power. But the lughawiyan, or the language, or the word Qadr itself comes from taqdeer, something that you measure or has some measurement or portion to. So that's the meaning, the literal meaning of it. So some of the scholars said, well, this is a measurement this is the night of measuring how much rizq that Allah is going to give you, how much goodness He's going to give you, how much rahmat He's going to give you, how many people will live and who will die, and those sort of things that are written. However, other scholars say that it is something that is actually much more than that, and that it is rather this night of power that begins our connection, meaning Allah has spoken to you and I by saying that, listen, something I'm connecting you that preceded your existence in the Lawh al-Mahfuz, in the preserved tablet. And then He says it's during this night. Now what does this night got to do with you and me? Laylatul Qadr. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil Qadr. تلك الليلة المقادير للملائكة في تلك الليلة بأن يكتبها في اللوح المحفوظ. So now وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر. Now تشوق, I want to have a craving and desire. وما أدراك ليلة القدر. I want to know more about this ليلة القدر. This is connecting me to the Quran before it was descended upon the world and the universe and all of creation. I want to know more. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. So now we get into the fact that why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions Laylatul Qadr 3 times in one surah, an entire surah on this topic, to get our attention. Laylatul Qadr, Laylatul Qadr, Laylatul Qadr. 3 times in this surah. Now, again, we want to see why is this Laylatul Qadr. We know that it's in the Al-Ashr Al-Awakhir, or the last 10 nights. But why is it that we weren't told about when the Laylatul Qadr would fall? So the answer is explained so wonderfully in the tafsir of Fakhruddin al-Razi, rahmatullah alayh, when he says, we know that the famous hadith where there were Sahaba, they were arguing with one another about the night. And the Prophet ﷺ was intending to share that, the information of that which was going to, share with people and pass the knowledge of which night Laylatul Qadr would fall. But when the Prophet ﷺ saw this knowledge was no longer allowed to be shared. So the Prophet ﷺ was not able to share this because one of the explanation is because of the arguing between 2 people of the Sahaba, the companions. Subhanallah. Other scholars say that actually it was a rahmah. What do you mean? How can it be rahmah that we don't know the night itself? Well, some of the scholars said that if we knew which night was Laylatul Qadr, and it is greater in its reward than 1,000 months, that would mean to say that if you intentionally did wrong and were subject to your desires, in a lower desires, and you did wrong and you hurt people and you engaged in things that you know are haram, then you would get 1,000 times the sins in doing so. So this is the other explanation. The third explanation as why we don't know when Laylatul Qadr is because it's for us to be searching. We want to search. We want to look around. We want to chase the 21st night, the 23rd night, the 25th night, 27th night, 29th night. Now you might ask also, but wait a minute. How come, right? How come the 27th night is so, so sort of dear to most of us as being the night of Laylatul Qadr? Isn't that a common question?
That's a huge curiosity for me.
Okay,
actually.
so I'm going to explain it to you, inshallah ta'ala.
Yeah.
Now, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, who's referred to as the Tarjumatul Quran, the one that had the ability to understand the Quran. Look at what he did. He counted the number of words that are in Surah Al-Qadr, and he looked at this and he said, okay, I want to know how many verses are here. How many words? How many words in the Surah Al-Qadr?
Can I count?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. أعوذ من الشيطان الرجيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. So 33?
So you're close. You're close. It's actually 30.
30.
So what he did was, he looked at the
Maybe we should speak a bit louder. Actually.
Okay, so what he did was, he looked at where is it the particle where it refers to the night. So if you go into that surah, you go to hiya, when hiya here refers to the night, that night being. So you go إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي here is referring to that night. هي يعني الليلة. So this is talking about that night. It's the 27th word in that surah. So one of the wisdoms, one of the reasoning, and these are the greatness of our Sahaba. They actually went to that. And then he expanded and he said, أحب العادات إلى الله تعالى الوتر وأحب الوتر إليه السبعة فدل على أنها السابعة والعشرين. So he says, look at how beautiful he says it. He says that the most beloved number to Allah is the odd number. And amongst the odd numbers that he loves, the most is 7. Allah mentions that the heavens are 7, and He mentions that the 7 oceans, and the 7 is a common thing. The seven when we do our tawaf, there's a wisdom behind this number that is truly divine and metaphysical. So then he said, well, this would say that 7, if you were going to put the 7 in the last 10 nights, that would be the 27th night. Now, we don't know this for certain, but it's something that we should also look at as well. He says as well that Laylatul Qadr, if you count the number of letters, just the letters of Laylatul Qadr, which is mentioned how many times in the Quran, in the surah? How many times, my brother Sa'id?
3 times.
3 times, my brother. 3 times. How many times?
3.
So what he did was he took and he counted each letter, Lam, Ya, Lam, and he went through all of it, Laylatul Qadr. And he counted how many letters? 27. Okay, so I want you guys to have a bit of enjoyment as to why the 27th night as well. Now, this is not to say that we know for certain, but this is some of the wisdoms. Other scholars said 21, 23, 25. Others even said 29th, as it's the khatam of the month. It's the ending of the month. In any case, I want to share with you some of the beautiful explanations given and as to why the 27th in particular is often believed to be the special night of power. And as scholars also say that, فَأَعْطَاهُ لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ وَهِيَ خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ لِسَائِرِ الْأُمَمِ. So this is as also such a blessed night that is greater than 10 months, 1,000 months. And this is greater than anything that was given, anything to the nations that preceded us. Now, so we started with إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ خَيْرٌ مِّنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. Now, if you look here on this side, Saeed and Akhil, I got you. You guys are with me right now, yeah? The average lifespan of any individual is about 78 years old. Laylatul Qadr is greater than 1,000 months, which is about 83 years and 4 months.
Yeah.
Right? Now, we know that Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam and the prophets that preceded Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they lived longer than us, thousands of years. And Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, his time was hundreds of years, over 150, that sort of span. And then you look at us, your life. So I want to ask you, my man Aqid, how old are you, brother?
Just turned 24, actually.
24, that's beautiful. This is Aqid, man. I'm going to write here 24.
Oh, right under death.
No. That's not. This just means anyone can die at any time. So may Allah give you a long life. Okay. And I got Saeed. Where do you sit on this one?
18.
I got my brother Saeed, the beautiful brother right behind the camera, 18. And I'm not going to say exactly my age, but I'm somewhere here. All right, so that's me. Now, I want you guys to ask yourselves, where are you guys on this chart right now? Are you here? 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 Where are you at? What if I told you that if you find Laylatul Qadr and you didn't do any ibadah, that you were someone that maybe forgot Allah, you forgot what it meant to serve Allah, you forgot what it meant to be connected to Him, but at some point in this span, that let's say a person lives at most to about 100 years old, you find it, well, you found something and you are in fact much older than this. Remember, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ خَيْرٌ مِّنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. What does that mean, brother?
Shahr, month.
It means it's greater than 1,000 months.
Yeah.
Okay? So if somebody says to you, you know what? This is a deal of a lifetime. What does that, well, how do you understand that statement?
It's an entire lifetime.
Right.
Yeah.
What if we take this expression and we say that, you know what, you find that one moment in Laylatul Qadr, one moment, it's there for the taking. And I'm going to share with you, and now when I answer the question, you know, who would like to meet the angels? Now, at this point, I want you guys to remember, you might have forgotten Allah. But brother, man, I've been drinking. Brother, I never prayed, man. I never prayed. Okay, how many brothers we know, struggling to pray?
Quite a few.
But I drink, man. I go out with the boys and I drink alcohol. Some of the sisters, I date. Some of the other guys are saying, you know what, I go to the clubs.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
Some people saying, you know what, I didn't really want to pray actually. And they reach about this age, 60. I've seen it. When I'm taking groups for Umrah and Hajj, this is when they start saying, oh, I think I found Allah. Not to despair. وَلَا تَيْأَسُوا مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ. Do not be in despair of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His mercy. Remember, He talks to us from this inna, this azma, this greatness, this might of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But look what He starts sharing with you and me. He tells us, the lifespan is this. I'm going to give you a night that you got to search that's greater than, what?
84.
83 years and 4 months.
My bad.
No problem, man. That's why I wrote it for you.
Thank you.
All right? So this is what it is. So I hope I've gotten through to the point. What has passed here is less important than what happens now. Laylatul Qadr. That's what you want. You want this thing. Now we're going to talk about something amazing. Laylatul Qadr khayrun min alfi shahr. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. Allah. Now if I'm going to hear you, and I have to hear you guys say subhanallah when I explain this. تنزل الملائكة والروح. Now on this night, that will be the 21st, the 23rd, the 25th, the 27th, the 29th. At any moment of that night, تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. So the angels will start to descend from where? Some of the tafsirs say, as far as Sidratul Muntaha, the highest point, closest point of the angels to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the angels in their entirety. If there are 70,000 angels constantly doing a tawaf without fail from Bayt al-Ma'mur, from the beginning of time to the end of time, you tell me how great that number of angels would be.
Too much to comprehend.
Too much to comprehend, more than beyond the numbers that we can actually even put onto paper.
Yeah, infinity.
But the scholars of tafsir say, تَنَزُّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالْرُوحُ, that all of these angels are coming down, and it is described, there will not be a single place on earth where an angel is not standing up and praying, and an angel is not busy doing ruku', and an angel is not doing sajda. And you might say, but wait a minute, I thought we were supposed to do all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm getting there, all right?
Okay.
Who wants to meet the angels? Do you want to meet the angels?
Of course.
Do you want to meet the angels?
Yeah.
I'm sure all our viewers as well.
Okay. Do you guys want to meet the angels? Well, this is your opportunity. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. This is amazing. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the angels from far and wide, from the different levels of heaven, all in the heavens and the celestial stages and those dimensions that we can't comprehend, they all come. But guess who comes with those amazing, powerful, beautiful angels? Does anyone know?
Ruh,
Who's Ar-Ruh?
the spirit.
Who's the spirit? Sa'id.
Isn't it like the soul? That's what I guess.
Jibreel.
You're right. This is أحسنت. والملائكة والروح. Ruh here refers to Jibreel alayhi salam. And this is something that is supported by other ahadith الشريفة that I'm going to explain. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم. You got to take this slowly, my friends. I don't want you guys just to get jumping just yet, because I want you to start jumping. The angels start to look around for anybody. Get this.
Anyone.
Anybody who's been doing good. Okay, but wait a minute. I didn't do good here my first 20 years. Okay.
So it's not just good ibadah.
I didn't do for you. It's not that. The angels know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves. So these angels, and this is what is written in the book of the Tafsir of Fakhruddin, Sheikh Fakhruddin al-Razi, he says they have غاية المحبة. They have this desire or the purpose of love to meet the creation, the people that Allah loves. And they have known this through Allah sharing that with them. So they say, I can't wait to see Aqil. Can you believe that?
Inshallah.
An angel will come and actually say that, I can't wait to see Aqil.
Inshallah.
And an angel will come to see you, Sa'id, and you, my brothers and sisters. If there was even one act that was beloved to Allah, they say, Ya Allah, I want to see him. I want to see her. I want to see that person. I want to see that person. Wait a minute. But how's that? They come in fajwa. They come in great numbers, and the way they come is they quickly meet. But Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, he narrates that if you want to talk about the angels coming there, and guess what they do? They actually وَيَسْتَغْفِرُونَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And they are actually, why was I saying that they're praying as well at night? Because they're asking for forgiveness for you.
Really?
And you, and me, inshallah. And this ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is what you say, subhanAllah.
Subhanallah.
Isn't this what the subhanAllah?
SubhanAllah.
Bro, seriously. How many times did we come across this surah and we didn't even get into this beautiful, this interaction, engagement? Tanazzulul malaika. This is not a small thing. The angels are coming to say salam to you. But guess who is the special dignitary of all of the angels?
Jibreel alayhi salam.
Jibreel alayhi salam. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu says, and this is in the book of Tafsir of Fakhruddin Razi, says that actually there's not a single person that is doing good on the night of Laylatul Qadr in that Jibreel alayhi salam doesn't pray for their rahmah, for their goodness, for their rizq, for their emancipation from the hellfire, except that Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam prays for them and he remembers them. And guess what else? He comes musafahakum, and he comes to meet you and greet you with this by shaking your metaphysical hand.
Metaphysical hand.
So he's actually coming to greet each and every one of you. La ilaha illallah.
So it's like the ruh is coming to meet your ruh?
Yeah, but the ruh being Jibreel alayhi salam. So this is, I know the ruh is used in the Quran to mention, to also be like Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam. But in this context, the scholars understand it because it's connected with al-malaika, with the ruh. Ruh being Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam, which is also mentioned throughout the Quran. So the Ruh, Jibreel alayhi salam, you have these angels praying, Ya Rab, Ya Rab, Aqeel, he's such a good guy. He came and he was helping us, inshallah, liwajhillah. Allah loves him. Saeed, he helped somebody last year and he came up and he's praying tonight and he's actually remembering Allah. The other person, you know what? They actually went and visited a poor person during this night and during these last nights. Allah loves this person. Angels, go rush. And what do they do? And how do I know that the angels are having this longing to meet you?
How do you know?
Because in the verse, بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ. بِإِذْن, idhn in the Arabic language means taking permission of their Lord. So بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ. The angels descend with Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam, Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam, with the permission of Allah, which suggests that إِسْتَأْذَنُوا فَآذَنُوهُ. So it means that the angels actually ask for permission. Why? Because Sahih, they love each and every one of the people that are watching and the ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who are doing righteous acts on which night? Does this number and this chart even count when you get the Laylatul Qadr?
It's almost negligible.
This becomes negligent. Because in the Arabic language, when you say alf as well, alf layla, you say 1,000 nights, it doesn't mean the actual number of 1,000. When you say alf shukr, you don't mean in the Arabic, it's a form of mubalagha, it's a form of showing exaggeration, mubalagha in showing a great number. It's not about the number, it's about saying that the Allah of greatness is saying, I love you, and it's out of mahabba, and because of that love, guess who else loves you in the celestial creation? The angels. And the angels come, تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالرُّوحُ فِيهَا بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ أَمْرٍ. And they come and they look for all the good deeds that you're doing. You might have fed somebody. You may have given sadaqah that night. You may have given support for somebody. You might have helped clean the house. But you did it liwajhillah. And then you stood up and you said, Ya Allah, I ask of you, Ya Allah, to guide me and to show me the way. Ya Allah, I beg and I plead with you for the sins I've done. Ya Allah, I turn to you for all the things that I know, that I'm aware of what I've done wrong and what I haven't, and I'm not aware of what I've done wrong. Ya Allah, I'm going to read more Quran tonight. Ya Allah, I want to do tawbah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Man qama laylatul qadr imanun wa ihtisaban ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbihi. That's whosoever gets up in the night, qa'im, he gets up or she gets up, and they get up in Laylatul Qadr, looking for Laylatul Qadr, with the iman that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them, with the iman that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching, with the iman that the angels are coming to give you salah, that the angels are going to give you extra support, that the angels are praying for your mercy, that the angels want to shake your hands, and that the angels want to embrace you, and that the angels love you. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive everything, small sin and great sin. You are no longer subject to this linear understanding of age. Age means nothing. Age means nothing. Isn't that a word, subhanAllah?
Subhanallah, yeah.
تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي. Now, some scholars say that salam here is the salam of the angels. Salam also could mean salam or protection from the shayateen.
Yeah.
That the devils are not going to bother you. It could mean that salam is Jannah. Jannah. You know, the tafsir is so expansive and wide. But how beautiful these meanings help us understand such a surah. Now, Saeed, my man, you're grade 12, Allah bless you. Has anyone explained this surah this way to you before?
No.
And these are the secrets, the gems that are somehow there for the taking. And I want each and every one of us here, especially the ones at home watching, be looking forward to seeing the angels. Allah, we were talking about yesterday what the purpose of angels were.
Yeah.
This is one of the hikam, one of the wisdoms of why the angels are part of our sort of reality as well. It's because they are also an extension of showing through this celestial and metaphysical world, this world that we can't see, that Allah's created, that Allah says, I love you. I'm going to send my other creation to to look out for you. Do you need to be perfect? No. Did you need to be absolutely a person that was busy and doing deeds, good deeds all your life? No. Put it another way, in the book of Tafsir, Fakhruddin al-Razi, he mentions that in the time of Bani Israel, some of them, the people of Israel, they lived up to 400 years according to some of the accounts. And a Muslim will be 40 years old. And Allah will see the era of time in their deeds in the same way, meaning the same weight. Why? Because for every single deed that you did on Laylatul Qadr, there is a portion, a reward that is only known to Allah Himself.
Yeah.
Every letter. If you pray to Jama'ah, it's multiplied.
Yeah.
Right? If you read one verse, one letter of Quran, it's 10 hasanah, times 70 in this month, times Laylatul Qadr, which we don't know the multiplications of.
SubhanAllah, it's a mercy.
Is it a mercy?
Yeah, it's a great blessing.
Salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. Now we come to salam. Here, now this is here that's the night. Matla'il fajr. It is something that we observe right to the beginning or the end of the night, the preceding fajr time. So once the fajr time comes, that opportunity is gone. Most of the scholars mention that it's the night portion, which is right after Maghrib, that the layl begins. So tonight is the 21st night. This is a night you and me just get up and do something extra. Do some extra tasbih, extra dhikr, do some extra acts of worship. And then inshallah ta'ala, I will end with this, a dua that the Prophet ﷺ advised us to do during these blessed nights, which is, Allahumma innaka afoon tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna, or fa'fu anni, as the Prophet ﷺ related, that, oh Allah, or indeed you are Allah, the one who pardons, and you love to pardon, so pardon me. Inshallah ta'ala. So without any further delay, inshallah, we'll wrap that up. I'm going to let you guys just have a look there and just see if that sinks in for you guys. And inshallah ta'ala, we'll take some questions and answer some questions, inshallah. Can you just comment on anyone who's...
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum everyone. So that was a really, really beautiful reminder. You know, like as you're saying, I went to the Islamic school and I've had the opportunity to read the tafsir of Surah Al-Qadr and learn it many times, but I've never been taught it this way before. So Jazakallah khair. Thank you for that, right?
No problem.
And before we get into the questions you ask, I would just like to say thank you for tuning in. Sister Abir, always here. Sister Anisa, always here. Sister Azra, Sahar, Jama, Brother Farid, Brother Ahmed, Sheikh Ali, and lots of other brothers. Thank you guys for all tuning in and staying with us. Let's see what questions you've asked us. Thank you for doing. This is a beautiful reminder. I'm watching all the way from Saudi Arabia. So thank you for tuning in.
MashaAllah, barakallah fiqh.
How can someone know that they have reached Laylatul Qadr? So what are the physical signs of this night?
The scholars have written different things about identifying Laylatul Qadr based on some of the Sahaba, such as Sayyidina Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, and also from the Tabi'een and those who follow them. We don't know for certain, and that's the beauty of Laylatul Qadr. But we have to do it imanan wa ihtisaban. Remember, ihtisaban, we do it with faith, but ihtisaban, knowing that Allah is going to reward us. So when we believe in that, you cannot question that. Just know that in your heart, inshallah, that you haven't neglected those nights. If we've neglected those nights, we've lost the opportunity. Then we can conclude that we may have missed out. But, it can be as simple as praying your Isha in Jama'ah and your Fajr in Jama'ah, and you get the reward of someone who has stood up all night and doing Qiyamul Layl. Simple things like this can protect you from losing the opportunity of the night of power. So inshallah, the best way to answer that is just the one way we don't know, or the one way that we know we've lost Laylatul Qadr is when we've done nothing. So inshallah, I hope that answers that question.
Brother Muhammad, unfortunately he's in a situation where his sister is very sick, so he asked for us to make dua for him. inshallah.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give shifa to Brother Muhammad's sister.
Yeah.
And may Allah give her better health, inshallah.
Ameen.
And in the barakah of this blessed month, in the barakah of the Ghazwat al-Badr, and the Shuhada Badr, in the barakah of our mother Sayyidah Aisha, who passed away in this month, in the barakah of Sayyidah Fatima radiallahu anha, who passed away in this month, in the barakah of the Al-Ashr al-Awakhir, these blessed nights that come before us, in the barakah of all of these things, the Fath Makkah, where the liberation of Makkah happened in this month, we ask Ya Rabbil Alameen, in the barakah al-Fath, the opening, Ya Allah, of the Ummah, inshallah, from the time of the past till the time of when we meet Allah, we ask Ya Rabbil Alameen to give the sister Muhammad shifa, inshallah, and all the marda al-Muslimin and all the sick people of our Muslim community, Ya Rab, shifa, inshallah.
MashaAllah, I love how much sense you make.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. Who's that?
This is from here.
So I'm sorry, that's okay. No, my bad, no problem.
From Hanki.
Thank you so much, Henki. May Allah bless you and your family so much. And if you just mention the names of whoever is on there, just.
Brother Ahmed, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Sister Ata, she says you're very inspiring. So thank you for tuning in. Sister Maha, she's watching. Awais from Islamic Relief, he's here in the chat.
Islamic Relief, mashallah.
Sara Jama, Awais, Sara, Amina, Ahmed Housi, Dr. Riyadh, Dr. Riyadh Tarabain. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. So now we'll try and wrap this up really soon, but we do get in a lot of questions from other sources, and we're going to try and answer maybe 2 of them today, and inshallah we'll keep a couple for tomorrow, right?
Inshallah, no problem.
So yesterday we spoke a lot about addiction and how to get over certain things. Go ahead and watch that video. It's from doubt to certainty, number 1, and this is number 2. So extend on that question. A brother, well, not a particular brother, but quite a few of them have sent in a question that's like really they want to conquer and get over, right? So when they're fasting, they fast with the best of their ability. They pray their salah and they do everything to they try and be the best they can be. But unfortunately, they have urges and they're suffering from addiction to pornography, right? So when they're fasting, some days they unfortunately break their fast this way, right? But they still abstain from food. They still abstain from water. They still try and make up for those days after Ramadan has passed, right? And they want to know, how bad is this? How can they improve? And they're desperate, no matter what they do, they can't get over this. So they seem really stuck. What advice can you give to those brothers?
So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sallallahu alayhi wa Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. It's a great question because we have to be honest with our conditions. When we're trying to cure and treat ourselves, especially the spiritual cleansing, which is the theme of this week, we have to be honest. And I thank the brothers for being honest. Now, we have great fuqaha like Sheikh Mahmoud, who is a great faqih in our city, that can walk through some of the technical things, and certainly I can also assist in that, in how they have to make up for the fast that they lost. However, the general rule of thumb is, if somebody does this by, if they, break their fast by, let's say, not being able to control their urges, and then they find themselves in an impure state, and that's the greater impure state, then what they need to do is abstain from eating and drinking till the entire period, and then they will have to make that fast up. If they did it knowingly and willingly, there's a different, sort of expiation that they need to follow. If they did it unknowingly or they were unable to control themselves because of a sickness, inshallah ta'ala, there is a type of udhr, hopefully something that can be done in a way that they're not considered the ones who willingly and knowingly broke their fast. The one who willingly breaks their fast, there's a far greater requirement of expiation. such as fasting, in continuity for 2 months. So, I mean, there's something, again, you have Sheikh Mahmoud to answer that. But the general rule of thumb is if you have not broken your fast, continue not to drink and eat during that time and make up that fast. That's for certain. Based on your intention and those conditions, there are other things that may be. In terms of understanding yourself, first of all, I'd like to commend you guys for wanting to get better. This month right here is to tell you and me that it's never over. You ain't out of the race, my friends. My brothers and sisters, the amazing race called life isn't linear in Allah's eyes. One action is all we need, and one nadhara, one gaze, divine gaze from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into your life, into your inner essence. That's all we need. We need simply an angel that keeps on saying, Ya Rabbi, I'm not stopping. I'm going to istaghfir li fulan. I'm going to continue to ask Allah your forgiveness on behalf of so and so. Allah has given us many means. So for the brothers who are asking this question, don't lose hope. Never lose hope. لا تيأسوا من روح الله. Don't ever lose that as well. In terms of how you can get better and deal with that, I'd refer that to go to yesterday's questions, inshallah, where I talk about some techniques, inshallah ta'ala.
Thank you, Sheikh. So yeah, in yesterday's episode, we looked at substances like smoking, alcohol, and other intoxicants, especially in regard to that amazing story you told about when coming to Salah. So now here, another tough question. This question is specifically for the sisters. When the girl doesn't wear the hijab, she's questioned and deemed un-Islamic. And she's this is cultural, by the way, right? And she's told that her prayers won't be accepted. And essentially, she's pushed further away from Islam by the general public. How should that situation be handled? Also, the parents tend to be verbally abusive to daughters that do not wear the hijab, or that maybe at one point wore the hijab and then stopped wearing the hijab, right?
Sure.
So how can we handle that situation?
So alhamdulillah, may Allah bless our sisters. And like all of us, we're all in our journey to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hijab, needs to be understood in its true purpose, and that is it's a relationship between a woman as being part of the creation and her Lord, the Creator, and it's that closeness, that bond, that is expressed through the covering of the hair. And this is the understanding that we should hold on to when we wear hijab. So if hijab is seen as a cultural thing, and I'll just say this in Arabic real quickly for the Arab speaking. لما كنت بجامعة دمشق وسألت الطالبة من طالبات التي كانت معنا يعني بالجامعة الأردنية، فسألتها عن نية ليش هي لبست الحجاب أصلا. ففكرت أنا حبيت إنه بتعرف أكثر إنه إيش التفاهم بين العوام، إنه السبب اللباس الحجاب في حياة الأخوات اللي هناك اللي مش كلهم بعضهم. So I asked one of the sisters that studied with me at the University of Jordan, and I wanted to understand the purpose of why some of the girls wear hijab. And I wanted to understand their context. I don't want to tell a girl what she should think and what she should think.
Yeah, it feels strange when you're a man saying it's a woman.
I don't want to own anyone's, especially a female's voice.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what she said. And she was honest. She said, and this is true for many of us, not just why we wear beards, why we wear certain clothes, why we do ritual things.
Yeah.
Because culture. And she said, honestly, it's because of culture. She goes, there are so many girls that wear hijab that are great. But there's so many girls that wear hijab and don't pray. So the question that you and I have to ask is, أي شيء أولى? Which one of these things is priority? Is prayer priority or hijab priority?
Yeah.
You may find that you get drawn closer to Allah. And I want to tell the sister, first and foremost, to answer that question directly. Your prayer is not only accepted, you may have the highest level of taqwa with or without hijab. This hijab is the zina that a Muslimah wears as it reflects her inner belief and her inner faith and her inner surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The amount that you surrender is how much the outward starts to show itself. Hopefully. Some people, they just focus on what's on the outside and they forget everything inside.
Yeah.
So that's not right either. But the one who's inwardly close to Allah and taqwa and living the life of a good mu'minah, and she has muhtashima, she has modesty and goodness, and she's, there's nothing to be said about her. Not only this, I will bring a hadith into play where there was a woman who was a baghiya. A baghiya is a woman who's a woman of the street. Her profession was she worked on the streets.
Yeah.
That was her income. That was her chosen profession. And this is a hadith related by the best of all creation, Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And just because she was able to put into a shoe some water for a dog to drink out of, to drink from, that was enough that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loved her act, that she went to Jannah. So let it not be our place. And I really encourage our parents, our elders, our community, you guys, our family, our leaders, our teachers. We do not have the place or the right to take Allah's decision, which acts are accepted, which aren't. So let us be cautious when we educate our children and our families about this. So to answer your question, my dear sister, pray as much as you want, pray as sincerely as you want. Allah, inshallah ta'ala, as long as you have ikhlas and sincerity and you're doing it properly for His sake alone, inshallah ta'ala will be accepted. Inshallah. As far as the hijab comes, hijab is the zina. It's the thing that one should surrender because now I want to be at the highest level of loving Him. And Allah has said, you want to get drawn near to me? Do these things. First when we start trying to pray, we pray, what do we tell the boys? Pray your farad, man.
Yeah.
Man, I can't do the sunnah.
Start with the basics.
Don't worry, man. I tell people, if you can't pray 5, you start with 1.
Yeah.
Start with 1. Oh, but okay, just the farad. Then you say, the person says, I love the farad. I love it so much. Automatic, I want to do more. Okay, do sunnah.
And you get the incremental improvement.
And then you do incremental, and you take it like this. The hijab is similarly a journey that each and every one of our sisters, Allah bless each and every one of you, and our mothers who are inspiring others who wear it, and those who are not wearing it, who were inshallah in the journey. At the end of the day, wallahi, as I said yesterday, Inna Allah la yanzuru ila suwarikum wa amalikum. He doesn't look at our outwardness and what we have, our possessions, our wealth. Lakin yanzuru ila ish. What does He look at? He looks at your qulubikum, He looks at your hearts, and He looks at your a'malikum, your deeds. But inshallah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's actually like a huge topic about judging people, knowing what's inside your heart and your relationship between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yes.
And we could probably get into that in another episode.
Yes.
Hey, Asif, Juts,
Asif, hey.
Fatima, I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing your names wrong. But Naf, assalamu alaikum. Here.
Let me help you. Let me help you.
Help me with the pronunciation.
All right, inshallah ta'ala. So we got Naf, Dughan, Rasasa, Ghayna, Abdul Huda, Fatima Muhammad, Asif Jad, Anisa Khadib, Hussein Handos. Assalamu alaikum to each and every one of you. Lots of love to everyone that's watching, listening. And inshallah, may Allah bring benefit to our gathering today.
Okay, so we're about to wrap up, but to expand on that question, I got sent in another question.
Sure.
And it was from a sister, and she's saying that perhaps different, when she goes back home to her country and she comes here, she noticed there's different practices in Islam, but to her that's not necessarily Islam, that's the culture, right? So how say we're knowledgeable and we know, hey, this is Islam and this is my culture or this is your culture, right? How can you tell a person to differentiate between their culture and their religion in a respectful way?
Beautiful. So, alhamdulillah, this is a great question because as I was growing up here, we're raised as, we're like that personality or that identity that intersects with so many different other identities. So our parents are from another country, they speak another language often, or they might be from another region, another generation, another upbringing, and here we are caught in between that. So the question is, who am I in all of these intersections? And so one way of answering that question is, culture by itself is not separate from who we are. Even Islamically, if you look at the traditions of Islam, there's a thing called ثقافة الإسلامية, which is a culture, Islamic culture, or حضارة الإسلامية, the Islamic civilization. Where, I've had the great pleasure and honor of visiting many Muslim countries, both in the Middle East, Pakistan, India, some African countries, and I've got to meet people of different cultures. And each and every one of them has an infused tradition or understanding of Islamic ideals that's expressed in their own way. And for each and every one of that, it is beautiful. This idea that culture is somehow incompatible with Islamic sort of lifestyle is a misunderstanding. Sheikh Mahmoud, تعال يا سيدي. والله في عندنا الشيخ محمود، تعال. والله عندنا الشيخ مفتي الكبير يعني تفضل.
Yeah. No, don't run away.
We got Sheikh Mahmoud, my beautiful Sheikh Mahmoud. Allah, he's afraid to hug me. He knows I'd hug him. والله معك حق.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'm sorry for interrupting that. So when we talk about the culture then, it's not exclusive or incompatible. So long as the ideals and the belief system of Islam is not somehow compromised. So if you go to Indonesia, they have various beautiful singing traditions. They love to do nasheeds. And they have this beautiful tradition that even after Salah, they'll do nasheed. If you go to Turkey, they'll do certain adhkar right after Salah. If you go to Pakistan, you have certain things there. If you go to this other place, they have a certain tradition on, let's say, a certain type of sweets that they distribute. Like when I was in Al-Qahira, they have ma'mool, a certain ma'mool, that's their ma'mool, their sweet. Everybody has a clothing, a tradition, none of that which I don't want anyone here to think that because somebody has a culture, tradition that you're unaware of, that is un-Islam. What makes it un-Islamic is if it contradicts the imaniyat or the faith-based principles that we hold. So if there's a tradition that, for example, if somebody unknowingly, let's say, is in India, and I have some family in India, for example, and they follow a tradition that is maybe they follow a tradition of a certain day that is observed by some of those who are from the Hindu tradition follow. And they connect that date to be a special date because it was observed by some of the Hindu people of the Hindu community as special. So they adopted it as their own. We can say that at that point to the community that, listen, we understand what you're doing, but if you actually think that there's a special date, a special status to this date because of that tradition and of their customs, and then we mimic those customs, then we are entering a place that we have to start being aware. And that's not just Hindu tradition, it could be Western secular tradition, it could be another faith. There are also other faith traditions that actually we share some values with, as in Christianity and Jewish traditions. In that case, we accept it. Again, the condition is not where the tradition is coming from necessarily as much as it is what is it doing in terms of our understanding of our iman and aqidah. So long as that is sound, inshallah, we should encourage cultural expression. We should encourage cultural pride as long as it is connected with the Islamic identity.
So, would it be acceptable to, say you don't have the belief in your heart that, for example, Easter is what it is, right? Can you go out and have an Easter party with your friends?
No, I said,
or other things
yes.
like that. If you don't, because I'm saying if you don't, in your heart, oh, this is not my belief. I'm just doing it for the fun of it now.
Yeah, I mean, if we're doing these things, it's a great question. Christmas.
Yeah, because maybe you have to exchange at your workplace or something.
When we'll always have to go back to asking ourselves the honest question here. Do we believe that our faith is being compromised, or that my kids may be compromised in their understanding of the faith, or my community may be misunderstanding it, and which could lead to long-term impacts? So if I start saying, well, I'm going to observe Easter, a day of which we don't believe in as a tradition. So just principally, we respect Christians who observe it. we obviously relay our salutations to them on their day that they observe, as we're expected to do with all faiths, to respect them. But I can't say that I believe in it. I can't say I believe in it, and if that culture then becomes adopted by me in my home,
it's like a bid'ah.
That would become a bid'ah. But I don't like the way this word bid'ah is thrown. So I want to just make sure when we say bid'ah, I would say that it corrupts our understanding of the faith, which then we should abstain from doing, because it does contradict our faith. And the other part of it is, what benefit do we bring from it? Now, if I observe the Easter bunny, okay, that's maybe less and less related to the religious part of it.
Yeah.
But we got to look at that pendulum, and there are people that say, no, stay away from it because you don't want to be confused later on.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't be confused, my grandchildren won't be confused.
I see.
There's other people that might say, you know what, we're clear about Easter and it's only about eggs and chocolate. And we just want the kids to color some eggs and have chocolate. So in that case, you might say that it's not a threat to their faith. So ultimately, we have to be cautious based on our own circumstances.
That's a very insightful answer. Allah knows best, surely. We've been going for like an hour, and I know you guys have a lot of questions, and I get questions in from multiple sources. I'm really sorry we can't answer them today. Inshallah, you think we can get into the next episode?
Absolutely, inshallah. We're going to cover a different topic tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the liberation of the heart.
Yeah.
And it begins with ourselves first, and it's going to be correlated with the liberation of Makkah, Fathu Makkah. So inshallah.
Inshallah, that'll be next time.
Inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow we'll enjoy that conversation.
So let us know what you think about that format, where we give you some information at the first portion of the video, and then we do a Q&A for the second portion of the video. We plan on continuing with this series. Inshallah, after Ramadan, we might even extend this. And all I ask of you right now is to like the video, share it, and subscribe it, because we're working really hard to give informative content in this video, so perhaps it may benefit someone. So by sharing it, inshallah, there's goodness in that for you. Jazakallah khair. Do you have anything to close the thoughts?
I just want to say, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless each and every one of you. May Allah give us the blessing of finding Laylatul Qadr, being part of Laylatul Qadr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those who will be greeted by the angels and will be greeted by Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam when he comes down and they pray and for asking forgiveness from us. Ya Allah, may Allah accept us from amongst those who He's pleased with. Ya Allah, make us amongst those who are able to leave our bad habits. Ya Kareem, Anta al-Kareem, Anta awwal wa akhir, Ya Allah. There's nobody except you, there's no one compared to you, Ya Allah. We are in need of you, Ya Allah, and indeed you are in need of nothing from your creation. Oh Allah, there's nothing in comparison to you, Ya Allah. There's nothing comparable to you, Ya Allah. We come and turn to you, the one ahad, the one that cannot be imitated, Ya Kareem. Ya Kareem, Ya Allah. We ask Ya Rabbal Alameen to give shafa to all of those who are ill. We ask Rabbal Alameen to accept, Ya Rabbal Alameen, all the good a'mal and our good deeds. And Ya Allah Ta'ala, we ask Ya Rabbal Alameen to dress us with the greatest virtues of human beings, and that is demonstrated by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqi sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Al-Fatiha.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Okay.